What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video I'm going to show you how you can create your own stock portfolio tracker spreadsheet using Google Sheets. So the first thing you'll want to do is open Google, and once you're logged into your Gmail, scroll up to the top right and click on this little box and scroll down until you see Sheets. So we click into that. And for the purpose of this video, we'll set a brand new blank Excel. So for the purpose of this video, to keep it quite simplistic at the beginning, we'll just input the data, and once we have all the data input, we can start editing out the spreadsheet. Now on the first row up here, we'll have a formula for our date. The second row, we'll have our growth, so our growth percentage gain or loss. And on the third row, we'll begin to have our main tabs or main columns here. And on the left here, we'll have our capital gains. And over on the right hand side of the spreadsheet, we'll have our dividends. So to kick this spreadsheet off, I would advise, and again, this is up to interpretation, as everyone's individual spreadsheet will be altered to their own needs. So you can obviously input more or reduce the number of headings you have in your own spreadsheet. But in my own personal spreadsheet, I have in column A, company name, symbol, sector that the company is in, the total number of shares that I hold, the average price that I paid for these shares, the current market price, the cost basis, so that will be the amount you paid for the share itself plus any commission you have to pay to the broker, market value, the gain or loss on this investment, and then in column J we have the percentage of this gain or loss. In column K then, K to M, we have our dividend, so it'll be the annual dividend in column K. In L, it'll be the dividend yield, and in column M, will be the overall annual income between the average you got from the market price itself and also the dividends that you got paid. Furthermore, on the columns that I have mentioned already, I just wanted to add in two more. So in column N, will be the total dividend since you started this investment, and in column O will now be the overall total gain or loss from the capital gains and the dividends. Now you know that you can notice that in column N and O, you can't really see all the text, which is fine. So in order to see that all, you just scroll over, you highlight the whole page, and just go into cell column A and just double click here. So then when you scroll over, you can see the full column here. So that's what we want to see. So for the purpose of this video, I'll just put it in 5 companies just at random. So I put in Apple, Bank of America, Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson, and 3M. So once you have input the companies in your portfolio, you'll want to go into column B, and in symbol, you want to put in the company symbol. So Apple's is AAPL, Bank of America is BAC, Coca-Cola is KO, Johnson & Johnson is J&J, and 3M is MMM. Then into column C, you want to put in the company's sector. So if you don't know what sector your company is in, or even what the symbol is for that matter, a great tool is just go into Yahoo Finance and go into the company's portfolio, and you get all the desired information there. So in terms of Apple, obviously that's in the tech sector, Bank of America is in financial, Coca-Cola is in the consumer sector, Johnson & Johnson is in healthcare, and 3M is in industrial. So again, for the purpose of this video, let's just say we have 10 shares in each of these 5 companies. So in column D, you put in the number of shares you own. In column E is the average price you paid. So just for example, say if you have 10 shares and you paid €10 for every single one of those shares, the average price would be €10. So you just need to work out your average price, and then later on in the video, we'll make another tab here called Transactions tab. So you'll be able to keep a log of what number of shares you have per company and what you paid for each, so you'll be able to calculate out your average price. In column F, in here we'll be putting in our first formula, so the market price. So in order for us to feed this in automatically and not having to constantly update it ourselves, you need to put in a formula. So in order to get the current automated price, you do equals, and then it'll be Google Finance, so you click that. Go back over to column B where your symbol is, so click on that, and then close bracket, which will calculate out the automated price. And then instead of having to put in this formula the whole way down, just drag down the cell, and this will give you your updated automated price for your current market price for that share. Column G is your total cost basis. Now it's worth noting that because I use trading 212 as my broker, I don't have any commission fees to pay or any other fees for that matter. So if your broker does charge commissions per your trades, it is worth noting this in your calculation also. But because again I'm using trading 212, I don't have this, so for my cost basis will be equals. So you get column D, so the number of shares, and then you will want to multiply this by your average price. So then you can see that 1100 is our average price here, or our cost basis. So then you drag that down, and that will give you a cost basis for all 5 of your companies. Column and column H is your market value, and this is just simply equals the number of shares you have and multiply that by the current market price, which will give you your current market value of all your positions combined. And then you just drag it down again, so you will get the market value for all 5 of your companies. Column I, it is simply to get your total gain or loss. So all you're doing is equals, and then you'll be doing your market value minus your cost basis. So you can see here then your total gain or loss is there. So to get your growth as a percentage, what you need to do is equals. So it will be column H divided by column G minus 1. And then the figure you get here, you can change that format to a percentage. And then just drag it down. So that's your percentage growth, gain or loss in a percentage form. So in column K, we need to put in the annual dividend. Now this can be found on dividend.com, and in the coming weeks I'll be also trying to work in a spreadsheet into one of these tabs that will automatically pull in the dividends, but that can be quite complex, so bear with me with that. But for the time being, we can go to a site such as dividend.com. I've already input the top ones here, and obviously you can go up to format cells and put into dollars. But for the purpose of this video, I'll just show you 3M. So then you go in here, you go up to the search bar, dividend.com, you put in the symbol 3M, click there. So you can see that they pay $5.76. So then we just literally input that here then, so 5.76. So for the next 2 columns, in column L and column M, so firstly the dividend yield. In order to get this, you need to divide K4, so your annual dividend, divide that by F4, which is your market price, which will give you your dividend yield percentage. So then copy that down so you can see for the other 4 companies also. And then in column M, in terms of your total annual dividend income, in here, so it will be D4, so your total number of shares, and you multiply that by your annual dividend that we got from dividend.com, which will give you your overall annual income for that dividend share. Now again, a lot of people don't have dividends in their own portfolio. So if you just have a grow portfolio, for example, you could kind of disregard kind of K over. So you could stop the video there if you wish, but if you do have dividends, this is certainly very helpful. So in order also, another handy kind of thing that I've put into this spreadsheet is to see how much dividends you're getting paid on a monthly, quarterly and yearly basis. So this is simply just put underneath your annual income amount here and in the monthly, so all you need to do is equals sum, so you will sum the lot of these, close the bracket, divide by 12 to get your monthly amount. Then for the quarterly, it's literally just your monthly amount, divide or multiply that by 4. And then your yearly is literally just your monthly figure of 1044 and multiply that by 12 months in the year to get your $125. I kind of find this very helpful to see also, as it's always great to see how much you're actually getting on a monthly basis. And then the 2 remaining columns we have are the total dividend payout, which will be formulated later on in the video in a separate tab, so that will directly come in from that tab. And then finally, the most important tab of all, or the most important column of all, is the total gain or loss column. So this will simply be equals. So you'll be doing column I, your total gain or loss for that company, plus column N, your total dividend payout to date, which will give your overall total gain or loss. And also, it is worth noting that we want to put in 3 more mini formulas just to help us out later on when we're putting in our total percentage gain or loss up in cell A2. So what we need to do is get the total sum of the cost basis, the market value, and your gain or loss. So this will be very useful later on when we're putting up the formula in column A2. Now it is also worth noting, just to kind of clean it up a bit, that you can format your cells for currency. So if it's euro, dollar, pound, or whatever, you can format the cells for that also, just to kind of tidy it up a bit as well. So I find that quite useful. So we can now start to begin to kind of tidy up the spreadsheet as such in the first column. So in column A1, you can put in the date. So by putting in this formula, the date will automatically update itself again, instead of you having to update it manually, which is very handy. So in order to do this, you put in the formula equals date, open bracket, close bracket, and it will create the date, the automated date here for you. Now, if you want to change the date, so you could go down to, if you scroll down to, if you want the number, and then you go to date and time, you can alter which way the date comes up. So you could have numbers or word format, or whichever way you please. And then probably the most important cell that you'll be most interested in is in column A2. Now this will be your overall portfolio percentage gain or loss, incorporating in all your cost bases, your capital gains, and your dividend payouts. So in order to do this, since we created down here a while ago these extra additional formulas down here, you want to equals, and you scroll over to the right. So if you scroll over here, so you equals column, you go in here, so O2, O12, and then you would go back up here. So equals O12 divided by G12, which is your total cost basis, multiply that by 1, which will give you your figure, and then go into format cells and change percentage, and you can have it to 2, 3, 4, whatever amount of decimal places you wish, but I find it's kind of handy just to have it to the 2. So you can see that this fictional overall portfolio is currently up 1.12%. I also feel it helps by putting a kind of a grid or a border around your overall summary spreadsheet, which kind of breaks things up a lot better in my opinion, especially if you have 20 or even 50 companies in your portfolio. I also find that it's helpful to put subheadings here, so like capital gains in column E, dividends in column K. I'll be also changing the name of the sheet to the summary tab, as we'll be creating more sheets later on in this video, such as the transactions tab. We'll have our graph tab, we'll have our dividends tab, so there's a lot more to go. And it's also worth saying that up here, for example, in column A2 or even A3, you could put like portfolio percentage growth here, and then have the figure there, and you could have the overall portfolio value maybe in column A3, and then in column B3 you put in the figure. But again, as this is just a kind of very basic beginner's guide kind of video, I just want to keep it simple. And once you kind of have your main structure built out in your own portfolio spreadsheet, you kind of edit this out yourself and kind of put in what you'd like and disregard what you don't like. So as I said, this is just a kind of beginner's guide, so it's kind of more of a just black and white approach at the moment, and you can kind of build this out as your own spreadsheet progresses. So then in the transactions tab that we'll create, again, as this is just a kind of an educational kind of video, I'll just keep this brief and short. So in the transaction tab, we put in the date, company, ticker, share amount, average cost, fees or tax, overall cost, and was it a buy or sell. So let's just say we had Apple, the ticker is AAPL, the share amount is 1, the average cost for this buy was $110. Let's just say we paid €10 or $10 in transactional fees. The overall cost will be $120. And then was it buy or sell? It was a buy. So then when you're in the summary tab, this can be included, or you can incorporate in a formula into your cost basis also, instead of manually inputting it. And again, what I found in my own personal tracker that I have as well, that I've built out, is that you're better off as the transactions, the buys, sells, dividends, etc. start to build up. You're better off kind of having subheadings here for, let's just say, September, like September, October, November, December, and then kind of having an overall kind of end header there, or footer, I should say, of your overall transactional costs, fees, buys and sells, etc. And then start off a new year and a new month, as it kind of keeps out the clump if you just throw everything into one here. So let's just say that was their only buy or their only transaction in September, but then I'd start a new kind of breakdown here and start October and so on and so forth. So that's just kind of a brief summary of a transactional tab in its very basic form. And again, you can build this out to incorporate whatever you want into your own one and what other headings you might see fit, or which ones you think you don't really need in here. But again, it's just a kind of a physical representation of what a very basic transactional tab should look like. So as I feel that there was quite a lot to cover, even in the basic form in the dividends tab and in the graphs tab, I'm actually going to make a second part to this video overall. So in the second part of this video, we're going to improve the summary tab a bit by adding in a few more features and tidying it up a bit. We will then go through in the next video as well, the dividends tab, and how I start to kind of input manually at the moment, and then down the line it will become more automated, which is obviously the main goal of any portfolio tracker. And then thirdly, in the next video, we will go through the graphs. We'll go through some graph features such as pies, bar charts, and other similar charts that you can use to give an easy physical representation of your portfolio if you just want to jump on for a few seconds to see how your portfolio is doing, etc. And in my own opinion, and I'm pretty sure in a lot of people's opinions, having a graphical visualization of how you are performing is much better than just seeing a load of numbers on screen. So I feel that those three inputs in the next video will be quite helpful, which will be the summary tab improvement, a quick rundown of the dividends tab, and a rundown of the graphs tab. So with that being said, that brings the end to today's video. I really hope this video has helped people and showing how easy it is to actually create a very basic dividend portfolio tracker on Google Sheets, and you shouldn't really have to go and buy a dividend portfolio tracker, as you can make it yourself. So you'd be more inclined to use that money and actually invest it. So in the second part of this video, we will cover the rest of this dividend portfolio tracker. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to comment below. And if you have any tips or advice, or even other things that you'd like me to cover in the second part of this video, just shout below as well, and I will definitely make sure I'll cover them in the next video as well. So it'd be great if this video was helpful to you, if you could smash that like button, and if you haven't subscribed already, if you would consider subscribing to this channel also. So thanks very much guys, and I will see y'all in the next video.